NBC40 presents Conversations with the Candidates.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Conversations with the Candidates. I'm Jeff Whitaker. Between now and the November general election, we will be talking with the men and women running for the office of governor, U.S. Senate, along with the state Senate and Assembly candidates from South Jersey. We'll spend 30 minutes with the candidates. We'll learn their background, why they are seeking the office, and most importantly, why electing them is the choice that you should make. We have also given the opportunity for you, our viewers, to submit your questions to the candidates as well. And I'll tell you later on how you can participate. This half hour, we welcome 1st District Assemblyman Nelson Albano and Sergeant Bob Andrzejczak. Assemblyman Albano has served in the New Jersey State Assembly since 2006. Assembly Andrzejczak has served since earlier this year, having been appointed to fill the vacancy of Assemblyman Matt Milam, who announced his retirement from politics. Both are Democrats, and they serve alongside their running mate, State Senator Jeff Van Drew. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us on our forum.
Great to be here.
Tell us a little bit about each of your backgrounds and what led you into political office. Now, you've been in the Assembly now since 2006.
Correct. Yeah, I'm in my 4th term, finishing almost 8 years with the State Assembly. I got involved back in 2002. My son was killed. For those who don't know, my son was killed by a drunk driver back in 2001. And when I read about the guy's driving abstract and what he has done in the past, 5 previous DUIs, I asked myself and the police department and the courts why this man was still out on the street driving, and found out at the time that drinking and driving offense was a traffic offense. It wasn't a 1st-degree crime, 3rd-degree, or even a 4th-degree crime. And I knew at that time that if this man was incarcerated or in some type of in-house rehab, maybe my son would still be alive. And I knew at that point, if I didn't do anything, that other young people would continue to die. My son was 19 years old, taken by someone who abused the system, abused alcohol, and I knew I had a fight on my hands. So I reached out to my Jeff Van Drew at the time, who was my assemblyman, and said, if I don't do something, people will continue to die. What can I do to change the law or to make a new law to make the road safer for people? And that's how I got involved. And I worked with Senator Van Drew, assemblyman at the time, for a couple of years, and went through the whole process on how a bill becomes a bill, the process it has to take, and worked with him on every step. Many trips to Trenton, going to committee hearings, watching it go to the floor in both houses, and then finally, Governor McGreevey coming down to my son's high school to sign the bill into law. And found out that there was so many other things that needed to be done as far as public safety. So I continued to work with Senator Van Drew on different issues, and finally came to me and said, you have done so many great things in the last 2 years. How would you like to be my running mate? And at the time, it took some thinking. And he said, the final thing he said to me was, look what you've done on the outside. Imagine the changes you can make on the inside. And at that point, you find out that there's not only things wrong with public safety and some of the laws out there, but there are a lot of things that need to be addressed in the state of New Jersey. And at that point, I was ready to dedicate myself and my life to the people in the state of New Jersey and the people in District 1. And I was elected into my 1st term and have been working diligently for the people in my district since then.
Sergeant Andrzejczak, you were appointed to fill a vacancy. You have a distinguished career in the military. You've served how many tours were you in Iraq?
I served 2 tours in Iraq.
And tell us a little bit about your background. And you were a recipient of the Purple Heart, correct?
Yes, sir.
And is it the Bronze Star as well? Well, thank you very much for your service to our country.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So tell us what led you in coming home then to want to get involved in politics.
Well, first I joined the military because I knew I wanted to serve my country proudly. Unfortunately, that was taken from me short. I wanted to have a career in the military, in the infantry. Unfortunately, in my 2nd deployment, we were on a convoy, and I ended up taking a grenade during an attack, and I ended up losing my leg. When I came home, after enough recovery and I actually came back to South Jersey, every welcome home, every event that I was at, the Senator, Assemblyman Albano, and Assemblyman Milam were at, and they definitely welcomed me home, and it was really nice. And our paths crossed a lot in that time. And over time, working with the Senator, he was helping him out with veterans issues. He was also helping me out with veterans issues coming back. And eventually, it came to the point where he asked me, Assemblyman Milam is stepping down and retiring. How would you like to fill his seat and be able to really put the effort in and help out the veterans? And unlike Assemblyman Albano, there was no thinking about it. I knew right away. My time in the military was taken short from me, and this was my opportunity to serve the people of South Jersey and give back to the community that treated me so well when I came home. So without a doubt, I jumped right into it, and I've been doing great ever since.
So in your short time in Trenton, what have you learned about the process, and what do you feel you can contribute?
Well, I'm definitely not the typical politician, but I think that brings a lot to the table. I do have the fight, and I do have the work ethics in me from the military that I would bring to politics, and I definitely have no issue putting the time in, putting the effort in, and getting things done for the people of South Jersey.
Obviously, in looking at some of the bills that you've been involved in your short time there, it would be obvious that veterans affairs are things that are particularly close to you because of your military background.
Absolutely. In the Assembly, I've only been in there a short time, but I've been able to get on the Military and Veterans Affairs Committee, which means so much to me. I know coming home, it was really tough. When you come home from the military, you're promised the world and every opportunity there is. In truth, it's far from it. So hopefully with the bills and everything coming across the table in the committee, you have a veteran in there who's giving real life experience saying, yes, this will work, and no, that won't work, and this is what we need. So I am a voice for the veterans because I am a veteran sitting on that committee.
Assemblyman Albano, what do you feel in your time there now looking into this new term coming up, if you are reelected, where are your priorities right now?
I'd still have to say my priorities are, and maybe not necessarily in this order, are jobs, health care, tax cuts, not only for the homeowners, but for businesses. I think the biggest thing that are troubling people today, and taxes always take precedent over everything in government. The people always come to you and saying that we're still the most overtaxed state in the nation, and we are, and we're getting better at that. But I think a lot of the talk today is coming from people who are saying we need jobs, or if we do have jobs, we need better jobs. We need higher salaries coming in. We need health care. We need pensions. We need benefits. There's still 9-point-something people still unemployed in this state. And if we can get those people into good paying jobs with benefits, I think that is going to solve a lot of the problems, but there's so much more to address. So I'd have to say priorities would still be the jobs, property tax cuts, health care, addressing our senior citizens, and education, our veterans. Our veterans are still coming home from Iraq, still coming home from Afghanistan. We have to address their medical needs, and to make sure when they come back, we are prioritizing their needs for jobs back in this state. Like Assemblyman Andrzejczak said, when they come back into this country and they're sent home, there's a lot of their needs that aren't being addressed. And what a perfect guy to have on the committee to make sure he's been there, he's lived it, he's done everything there, so he knows what these veterans need when they come back, and that is also one of our big issues that we have to address.
We'll get deeper into a lot of these issues when we come back. We'll take a break, and when we return, some of the questions that you've submitted as we continue our discussion. Stay with us.
Conversations with the Candidates, brought to you in part by the ACUA, keeping recycling easy and convenient in Atlantic County, and by Sure Crucial Care Atlantic City. The doctor will see you now for your urgent medical needs.
Music inspires, but passion makes us the best. Passion led us to build Shore Medical Center's state-of-the-art surgical pavilion and earn Plaintree designation for the best patient-centered care. It's a passion we share with our exceptional physicians, our affiliates at Rutgers Cancer Institute of New Jersey and Penn, and as a member of the Jefferson Neuroscience Network. Most of all, it's a passion for the people we care for. Shore Medical Center, New Jersey's only Plaintree designated patient-centered hospital.
On Friday night after the final whistle, Jack stepped up his game.
I like a guy who's not afraid to put it out there.
With her kids and all the neighbors watching, Amy just did it.
Way to put it out there, Mommy.
Isn't it time you put your recycling out there with everyone else in Atlantic County? There are tons of things you can recycle with no sorting involved. And you can put it out there in almost any container. Find out what, how, and when at recycleatlanticcounty.org.
When I took a $5,000 pay cut because of an unexpected injury, my credit union helped me lower my monthly payments so I could still afford everything. I never felt embarrassed to talk to them about my situation, and they never turned me down or told me that something was impossible. My credit union found me possibilities. I'll stay with them for the rest of my life, and I know my 15-year-old daughter can rely on them too.
Like Aaron, many are struggling. Visit bankingyoucantrust.com for help. Credit unions. Banking you can trust.
Your opinion really does matter. Here at NBC40, we want to know what's important to you. We'd like to invite you to be part of the NBC40 Viewer Information Panel. As an NBC40 VIP, you can tell us what's important to you, what you like about NBC40, and how we can improve. And to show our appreciation for being an NBC40 VIP, you will automatically be entered into a random drawing for a $250 Visa gift card. Signing up is easy. Visit NBC40.net and click on the VIP logo.
We're back with our conversation with Assemblymen Nelson Albano and Bob Andrzejczak, and they are both Assemblymen in the 1st District, Democrats running for re-election along with Senator Jeff Van Drew. Some of the questions that you have submitted as our viewers, and here is the first question, comes from Ryan M. in Linwood. It's been said that property taxes drive up housing costs, keeping people from moving to New Jersey and causing people to leave our state. Do you have a plan to reform tax structure within the state to help the middle-class voters? Assemblyman Albano, I'll let you go first. You talked a little bit about the whole fact of cost of living and just jobs and employment and all that goes along with it with taxes.
That is one of the reasons why a lot of people don't come into the state of New Jersey, why a lot of people are leaving the state of New Jersey is because of property taxes. Proud to say that this past year we have worked with the Senate President and come up with a piece of legislation that would provide a 10% property tax reduction for the people in the state of New Jersey. At the time, the governor put through his plan, which was an income tax cut for the residents or the people in the state of New Jersey. Either way, we got to put money back into people's pocket. We both decided, the Senate President and the governor, that the biggest amount would be through a property tax cut, a 10% property tax cut to the people that own property, residential property in the state of New Jersey. I think that is putting us back in the right direction, sending the message that we are improving things in the state of New Jersey. We are making living more affordable in the state of New Jersey. And I think people, in turn, when they see property taxes going down in the state of New Jersey, they'll decide to come over here or decide not to leave the state. And that's the message that we have to send.
I have friends who moved to South Carolina recently. They pay somewhere in the neighborhood of $800 in property taxes every year, as opposed to here in New Jersey, you don't need me to tell you, it could be $5,000, it could be $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a year. Something like that doesn't get reversed overnight, obviously, but there's something out of whack.
Absolutely. The 10% cut, it's not that much, but it is a step in the right direction. I think eventually when the economy comes back and when we have more people employed, and we're bringing more revenue into the state, from there we'll continue to be able to make additional cuts. But I think we are moving in the right direction, and Believe me, I'm right there with everybody else. I'm suffering just as much. So if given the opportunity, I'll make as much cuts as we can, but safely. We need to bring the economy and jobs back to New Jersey.
Linda W. from Millville has our second question. How do you feel about raising the minimum wage in New Jersey? Do you believe it's fair, or should it be raised?
Well, I do feel that it does need to be raised. However, I would probably agree with the governor on this one. We need to not do it all in one shot. We need to do it in increments, do it a little more safely. Doing it all at once is really unsafe. We don't know if employers are going to have to cut back hours and give full-time employees, make them part-time. By doing that, you're not really helping anybody out. But by doing it over a couple of years, you have better chances of making it stronger and making it more stable.
What is your view, and this comes from James M., and I get both your opinion on this, Assemblyman Albano. What is your view on gun control in the state? Do we need to have stricter regulations on automatic weapons and high-capacity magazines? Also, what do you think about school security being allowed to carry weapons?
Well, I happen to be an NRA member. I happen to be a believer in the Second Amendment. I believe the state of New Jersey is probably ranked #1 or close to it as far as gun legislation. I think we have the toughest laws in the country as far as trying to get a permit to own a gun, having a gun, and all the regulations. I believe any further gun control or any gun legislation we need to do has to do with criminals having access to guns or gun trafficking coming in from other states. I believe with the percentages, over 90% of the guns that are used in crimes are coming in from other states. Guns that have been stolen, guns that have been taken during the act of a crime, guns that have been taken during robberies. Any gun legislation that they're putting forth today, and I sit on the Law and Public Safety Committee, the bills that are coming through are making it tougher for the gun owners, the legal gun owners, to obtain a gun. The weight, the process, and everything else, it's making it that much harder. I believe we need to address keeping the guns out of the criminals' hands. Having guns in school, I don't think that's the right way to protect our children.
You're a military man, guns and weapons control.
I feel New Jersey is definitely one of the strictest states. We don't really need any more laws. We just need to enforce and stricken the ones that we do already have. Creating more laws and laws that we have, it's really just hurting the honest people out there who are gun owners and gun enthusiasts. It's making it harder for them to obtain firearms. What we really need to work on is gang violence and drug trafficking in New Jersey. I think the gangs and drugs go with guns hand in hand, and by cleaning up those two areas, it would bring down the firearms crimes drastically.
This question, and you don't have to put this, so this question is not on the ones that we have in the control room, gentlemen. So I wanted to get your take on the Affordable Care Act and what you feel about, because you mentioned something about people in New Jersey wanting, during our last segment, wanting health insurance and be properly insured. Where do you gentlemen stand on the whole Affordable Care Act and New Jersey and how that would play into it?
I think with the Affordable Care Act, it has a lot of good and a lot of bad. I think it shouldn't be just forced upon everybody. I think it definitely needs to be worked into it gradually. I think just forcing it on everybody is, once again, employers are going to be cutting full-time guys down to part-time, and that way they don't get the health care benefits that they need, and it's just going to be worse on the economy.
Well, there has to be affordable housing for the people in the state of New Jersey. There's still people living at the poverty level, still people, middle-class people that can't afford a home, and we have to help provide that for them. To mandate that there's affordable housing in certain communities, and let's take the shore area. even in Cape May County alone, where are you going to build affordable housing in those areas? We can't force shore towns where properties are $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million to say you have to have affordable housing in there. We believe a lot of the affordable housing laws that they had in were working well. The legislation that they had in, they pulled back because it wasn't working well with certain areas like that. We need to keep revisiting that issue to make sure that we're providing affordable housing in areas where people can get to work and the schools and everything else, and not mandate to the towns who can't afford to have these homes or build affordable housing in those areas, to put them in areas that they can.
What about the issue of health care and the federal government and its role and how what it brings upon the state of New Jersey?
Well, there's a lot of things that are in the Affordable Health Care Act that need to be revisited. As you've seen, they changed and extended the law now to 2015, mandating employers have health insurance for individuals who work 30 hours or less. That now is in the process of being changed in the Senate and the Congress to extend it back to 40 hours. What has happened, it has scared the employers that are now bringing employees down below 30 hours so they don't have to process that. In the richest country in the world, there shouldn't be anybody in this country without health care. And we, as a nation, federally have to make sure that we provide some type of health care, whether it's through their job, with assistance to the employers to help pay for the health care, or some way to address it, but these individuals need some type of health care.
We're going to take a break. We'll come back with some thoughts from the two candidates right after this. Stay with us.
If you have a leak in your air conditioner, you're going to find out pretty soon when you turn it on. If your unit uses Freon, you're in for a rude awakening. This stuff now costs 1,500 times more than it did 14 months ago. That's massive. You're going to pay a small fortune to get your air conditioner repaired. Look into your options, make a decision. Maybe it's cheaper or at least more economical to put a new unit in. Don't put this out into Freon. Check your options. Call McAllister, the service company, and mcservice.com.
When I design furniture for my collection, I draw upon the places my life has taken me, combining fashion, style, and a bit of fun. My goal is to create beautiful, contemporary pieces that appeal to every style, every budget, and every state of mind.
At Raymore & Flanigan, we know no matter what you're looking for, you'll find Cindy Crawford's home collection has designs that will work beautifully and comfortably in your home.
Find my collection now, exclusively at Raymore & Flanigan.
Horizon Eye Care treats all kinds of eye problems, and all we do is eyes. That's all we do. When a patient walks through the door, I want to make sure that that person gets what that person needs. I want you to feel that you're the most important person in the room. It's also caring about people and demonstrating that, and that's what I love to do. And it's a real privilege that I have. And I love that. And that's really what it's all about.
This season, grab your favorite NFL team jersey.
Join NBC40 every Sunday night for NFL.
NBC40 has the top rivalry games that will keep you on the edge of your seat.
And remember, you can see us in high definition on Comcast Channel 798. And you know what they say, Sean.
That's right, Pete. NBC40 looks great on 798 HD.
NBC40 has your NFL games covered.
We are talking with Assemblyman Nelson Albano and Assemblyman Bob Andrzejczak, and they are with the 1st District. They are Democrats running in that election for the November election. We're going to get some closing thoughts from each of them as to why they feel you should elect them to office in November. Assemblyman Andrzejczak?
Well, I serve my country proudly. Unfortunately, that was taken early from me. I still have a lot of fight in me, so I'm still able now to bring a lot to the table. And I'm born and raised in South Jersey, so I'm going to bring that fight to South Jersey and make sure that South Jersey gets its fair share out of this state. So I'm going to do my best to fight for my constituents and fight for District 1.
Assemblyman Albano?
Well, I got to tell you, I learned a lot in the last 4 terms being in the legislature. Learned a lot of things. Learned that the state has a lot of issues still to address. We as a team, me as myself, have accomplished many, many positive things. We need to continue that. I found out that to be a good legislator, that you have to have compassion for people. You have to have that fire in your belly. You gotta love the job that you're doing, and we do that a remarkable job as a team. I want to continue that fight. I want to continue doing the positive things that we're doing, turning the state around. But I tell you, the biggest thing that you have to be a bipartisan legislature. You have to learn to work with both parties, and I think Senator Van Drew and myself, and now Assemblyman Andrzejczak, have done that very well. It doesn't matter who's going to be in the governor's position, who's going to be in the legislature. If you are elected into office, and we hope that we are elected back in as a team, that we work as bipartisan legislators, that we are willing to work with both sides to get the job done. And we have showed that with our partners in the legislature, and we have showed that with Governor Christie. Doesn't matter who's sitting in the governor's seat, you have to be willing to work with whoever's there to get the job done, not only for the people in the state of New Jersey, but especially the people in your district.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. We'll be back with some closing thoughts right after this.
Conversations with the Candidates, brought to you in part by the ACUA, keeping recycling easy and convenient in Atlantic County, and by Sure Crucial Care Atlantic City. The doctor will see you now for your urgent medical needs.
On Friday night after the final whistle, Jack stepped up his game.
I like a guy who's not afraid to put it out there.
With her kids and all the neighbors watching, Amy just did it.
Way to put it out there, Mommy.
Isn't it time you put your recycling out there with everyone else in Atlantic County? There are tons of things you can recycle with no sorting involved. And you can put it out there in almost any container. Find out what, how, and when at recycleatlanticcounty.org.
Music inspires, but passion makes us the best. Passion led us to build Shore Medical Center's state-of-the-art surgical pavilion and earn Plaintree designation for the best patient-centered care. It's a passion we share with our exceptional physicians, our affiliates at Rutgers Cancer Institute of New Jersey and Penn, and as a member of the Jefferson Neuroscience Network. Most of all, it's a passion for the people we care for. Shore Medical Center, New Jersey's only Plaintree designated patient-centered hospital.
Visit acairport.com today.
Guess what time it is? Guess what time it is? Mike.
Yep, Pete, it's time for the Friday Night Blitz. All of the area high school scores and highlights in rapid fire. But do we have everybody? Where's Pat? I'm right here, guys, and I'm looking forward to bringing our viewers some great highlights each Friday night.
So please join Pat Carragher, Mike Franco, and me, Pete Thompson, each Friday night right here for the Friday Night Blitz.
Friday Night Blitz, brought to you by Oceanside Wellness and Sport, chasing excellence one training day at a time.
And that's all the time we have for this edition of Conversations with the Candidates. If you would like to submit a question for future guests running for office, visit our website at NBC40.net and look for the Conversations with the Candidates logo on the right side of the homepage. There you will be able to submit your question. You may hear us use it on a future edition of our forum. Again, visit NBC40.net to submit your question. Our guests today have been Assemblyman Nelson Albano and Sergeant Bob Andrzejczak. They are running as Democrats in the general election for the State Assembly in the 1st Legislative District. I'm Jeff Whitaker, inviting you to join us next time for another edition of Conversations with the Candidates.